when agents get overwhelmed, especially broker owners, team leaders, and you see this a lot in spring and summer during the harvest season when they get be very busy, they get to a place where they don't want to grow anymore. They don't want to grow professionally. They don't want to be coached. They don't want to recruit. They don't want to lead generate because they feel overwhelmed because so many people are buying and selling real estate in late spring and summer. And that only increases throughout the summer as they start closing more. In the spring, they're opening up more transactions. They start to close more. And then May and June become this witching hour, depending where you live in the country. I know you have different seasons, but whenever that is, there is this busy time where growth becomes the last thing they want naturally. So in order to actually instill growth in agents, brokers, leaders, it's very important we remind them of where they're trying to go. And I've seen this with leaders. There are leaders that are great coaches. They can actually work through problems. And then there are leaders that are great coaches in that they can actually hold them accountable very well. But the rarity in leadership is the coach that can actually motivate people, excite people. That's the rarity. You just don't see that very often. Someone that can actually that people just want to talk to because that person motivates them. And it's not because they're dynamic or the way they speak or they're funny or anything like that. Believe it or not, they're just good at painting good, clear pictures of what each person's finish line should look like. They're just good at talking big picture. They're good at saying, hey, here's what you could be. One of the reasons our ICC summits that we hold multiple of those a year is because you got all these finish lines in the room of these high performing leaders that can all testify how it's worked for them. And it's very believable. So people get a very clear picture of all the potential finish lines. It's one of the reasons people go to conferences in real estate in the first place, is they see it, they can touch it. Oh, wow, it's working for them. It motivates me. A good leader has to be able to do that every single day. A good coach has to be able to do that on every single call. It has to happen if they want to be really, truly good. And when agents leave a brokerage or leave a coach or things like that, it's usually because they've lost belief that the finish line is possible with this person. So that means we had a leadership failure that they didn't believe they could get there anymore, which means we're not painting a good enough picture. One of the key ways, especially with teams and brokerage owners, especially when they get busy, is they say they're too overwhelmed. They can't handle more agents right now. They can't handle more transactions right now. And they see this and they feel this way half the year. And then in winter, all they want is more transactions and more agents because they don't have enough income. So that real estate roller coaster that new agents have with, I need business, so I'm going to work to get it, and then I'm just closing business for half the year, actually lasts in this industry all the way up to the most successful leaders in the industry. The same exact way. It's always there. It's a seasonal business. And unfortunately, mentality, trying to keep us in between the lines on our emotions and controlling our own mindset is very powerful. But I am going to tell you about a trick that we use with a lot of brokerage owners and team leaders. The key to getting through that when they're overwhelmed is, again, to paint a picture of that finish line. But it doesn't just involve just them. They've got to stop being a leader of people and start being leaders of leaders. And I know that's hard to do because we got to start looking for more people that can help them lead. Small teams have a hard time with this. Almost all small teams with less than 10 or 15 agents, they usually have one leader and a whole bunch of people that they're trying to crack the whip that they wish they would just do what they did to sell more real estate. Brokerages that have 40 or less agents, you see this problem a lot too, 50 or less, just smaller brokerages. You got one leader and you might have one or two high producing agents, then a whole bunch of people that are struggling or barely selling anything. And they wonder, how can I get some top people here? How could I get more top producers to come in my brokerage or come on my team? How do some of these teams and brokerages have all these top producers? And oftentimes the way is more avenues for leadership for them. Painting a picture that way. Let me show you a list. And we actually brought this up at our last summit. And here's just a few of the more common that our clients have of different leadership roles that can be used to attract other agents in and retain them. And half of these, you don't have to like it. You're like, I couldn't afford to pay any of these people. I'd say get a coach and learn how to compensate based on increased profit, because you should only be paying most of these people if they make you more money. And if they don't, you're not paying them anything. That's the nature of this entire industry. The only people that have big salaries in this industry are people that have been proven to do these things before. They don't just jump right into these roles. And there aren't many of them to begin with. Okay? So understand, you've got everything on here from licensing school instructors. Half of these don't require compensations. Some of our largest brokerages have huge master faculties with people volunteering to teach and train, especially when they have multiple offices in different regions where they actually move around and train in each other's offices. All of these are usually compensated by some increase in production, providing people to get paid. If you have someone who's a lead buyer specialist and they also serve as your mortgage director, and cutting them in a little bit of the profit of the mortgage division if they get implementation with the buyer's agents on your team, all based on percentages of performance. Same with property management, paid by as they grow the property management division. Having a private lender is one of the most valuable assets you can have on any team in brokerage, because then you can start financing your own agents' flips, and all of a sudden, boy, don't a lot of agents love to come to your company just for the financing aspect of it. They can actually get financing to do their own flips. Having a title or escrow company, having someone managing a flipping division for you rather than you doing flips and trying to run a brokerage at the same time. Again, creating opportunities for other leaders. You could have development divisions, a new construction division, someone tasked with going out there trying to establish relationships with builders and developers, coaching them how to do that, getting a coach for them, cutting them in on the percentage of that. Again, you didn't have it to begin with. They get it, cut them in. Just, again, pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. So really trying to lead with leaders. And that's what separates the big teams, the big brokerages from the small ones. There's so many of these, right? There's just endless numbers of them. A productivity coach paid off the first few transactions. Then it moves to a sales manager who's paid off a certain percentage override on the commission they produce for the rest of the transactions. There's so many different ways. Recruiting, using these, again, these do help with retention because they want to stay, because you'll be one of the few opportunities for them to have a leadership role, because usually in any association of realtors, there's only a few companies that have leadership roles available. And most people say, I need to get big first before I can hire them. And that's actually wrong. You actually use the roles to get big if you can paint a very clear picture of what the finish line looks like. So having leadership roles is what makes you big. It's not an excuse to wait till you get big to be able to afford them. That's cart and the horse are backwards on that. And there's tons of roles that aren't on here. This isn't even half of the roles out here. Putting a mentorship program in your office, ISA managers, hiring your own managing broker so your deal doctor calls stop. You know how many people would love to come to, you know how many people are qualified to answer deal doctor questions for agents that have transactional issues? There are tons of those. I know everybody thinks that's such a valuable thing, but the person that runs every brokerage thinks they're the best of that. That's the one thing that you find a million of them on. Man, if you could actually recruit and go look for leaders, that would be so much more powerful. There's very few recruiters in any area, but there's tons of amazing deal doctors. You could pay someone $1,000 a month. You could pay someone $2,000 a month to be that person when you go out and do the higher dollar activity, which is try to grow the brokerage. So stop staying in comfort and just answering easy questions over and over again about whether they get their deposit back or not, and start doing the hard work that no one else can do. The high dollar work, the work that's the $1,000 an hour work while you're doing the $10 an hour work. It's very important that we remember that kind of stuff because we teach it and we see our agents doing it too. There are endless roles that we can use to climb and grow. I really prefer it if you actually recruit to these roles rather than just give them away inside the office. Because if you see someone and you're basically partnering with them in this own little business, is that role. It's a very important part of it that we oftentimes forget. And I think it's real crucial that we remember that these are self-supporting, self-sufficient based on increases in profits, increases in production, increases in agent count, that if they don't succeed, you're not taking a risk. The retention here is huge. And now for the first time, all of the other top producing agents in the area are going to say, hey, maybe I could go to that team. They've got a lot of high producing people there because you're seeding it and you're using leadership roles to seed it, but that doesn't get put together that well. And they start to say, they've got them, they've got them, they've got them, they've got them. And now you got more people. It is very hard to have 100 agents when you're the only leader. It's next to impossible. Tried it. It'll break you. You know what I mean? If you got to that point, you're getting ready to lose a lot of people. I promise you that. It is very hard when you're the only leader of a real estate team that has more than 20 agents. I can tell you right now. Very hard. You need to start looking for leaders. So when you're out there growing, remember you're always looking for these leaders first. Anyone that doesn't fit one of these roles ends up being someone who could be an agent in your office or on your team. But what you're really looking through the haystack for is these needles. And then you find a way to make the talent fit in a leadership role in your office. That's how you grow. You look for leaders first, agents second. Potential leaders are great too. Getting a deep bench is very important to have a ton of leaders ready to back up. I'm famous for that. Having lots of leaders in my office, so I have lots of people that could potentially be in leadership roles. And that's very important to do. If you can become a leader of leaders, it's very valuable. So keep that in mind as your motivation to grow right now. If you're going to do one thing, it's keep looking for more help so that you don't feel overwhelmed in those seasonality moments when everybody else is. You're going to be the ones that keep driving right over this. The bigger the team, the bigger the brokerage should mean the more your ability to scale. It should not mean more work for you. But if you're thinking that, it means you don't know what your finish line looks like. You don't know what you don't know yet. Like more agents means more headaches. That's incorrect. That means you're doing it wrong. More agents means more potential for more leaders to actually make it easier for you. Crucial. All right, I hope that helps.